the ingredients and then we're going to start building our dough. What you're going to need are 4 cups of all-purpose flour. You may need a little bit more than that after we get things mixed up. We're going to need a cup of milk that has been warmed. We're going to need 2 eggs. We're going to need 3/4 of a cup or a stick and a half of butter, and you need 1/4 of a cup to go in your dough. I have softened that. This I'm just going to let soften at room temperature because we're going to need to melt it later. We're going to need 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar, a tablespoon of instant yeast, and a teaspoon of salt. And I'll take a moment and explain the yeast. I use instant yeast exclusively. I use SAF instant yeast. This yeast does not need to be proofed. It can be added directly to the recipe and it will rise every time. If you are using anything else like a dry active yeast, you are going to need to proof that first, which means you're going to have to put some sugar and your yeast in your liquid, and you're going to mix it up and you're going to let it sit for 10 minutes. If it gets warm and foamy, then you'll know your yeast is working, and then you can just add it to the rest of the recipe. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started. This is a really easy recipe, and you're going to love it. You're not going to believe how easy these are to make. Now, I have my warm milk into the pot, and I'm going to put my yeast in there and my sugar. Then I'm going to break my eggs in. Then I'm just going to take my little whisk and I'm going to give these a little bit of a stir because I want to break up those yolks and I want to get everything kind of incorporated. You don't have to do this. You can just leave them in there. It's going to mix up fine. And try and make sure that your eggs are at room temperature as well, because it's going to make everything a little bit happier. I'm going to put 1/4 of a cup of the butter in there. And then I'm going to go ahead and dump my flour in. And my salt on top. I always put my salt in last because I don't want my salt and my yeast to mix too soon. Otherwise, you can run the risk of the salt ruining your yeast. Okay, I'm going to pull my mixer on over here and we'll be back in just a second. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and turn this on low to mix it. You want the dough to mix, you want all the flour to incorporate, and you'll see it starting to pull in from the sides. You're going to want to pay close attention to how wet the dough is after all the flour is incorporated. So I'll be back when all of this is incorporated and we'll have a look. Alright. I'm going to turn this off so you don't have to listen to it. But I want you to see that you'll notice in the bottom of this bowl there is no stickiness. This dough is not sticking to the bottom of the bowl. And as you see it rolling around the side of the bowl, it is picking back up on itself. And that's exactly what you want. So we're going to go ahead and continue to knead this for 5 minutes. I'm going to continue kneading this dough for 5 minutes. And we'll be back when it's time to move on. Alright, our dough has kneaded for 5 minutes and it's nice and smooth and it's really beautiful. I'm just going to take the hook out here. Show it to you. Oh, it smells incredible, I have to say. Just get your dough out of here. I'm going to just scrape all the stuff off the side. I don't know if you can see it, but it's just super smooth and it's soft, but it's not sticky. It's really a beautiful dough, and that's because it's got eggs and butter and milk in it. This is a beautiful, beautiful buttery dough. So what I'm going to do, like I always do, I'm going to spray the bowl. I'm going to put the dough in the bowl. I'm going to spray the dough. And I'm going to put a bonnet on it. A lot of people ask me where I get these bonnets. I get them at the beauty supply store. They come in a package of 100. They're about $6, and you can use them for a lot of different things. I'm going to stick this on the back of my stove because that's where it's warmest in my kitchen. I'm going to let this rise for about an hour, and then when we come back, we'll show you how to make crescents. Right, it has been just over an hour. I took a phone call, I had a little bit of a meeting, and now we're getting ready to, you can see our dough has definitely doubled in size, probably more than that, which is good because we're developing all that yeasty flavor and we're getting nice little air bubbles in there, means that the yeast did its job and everybody's happy. So with clean hands, we're going to deflate our dough. and it's just pillowy and beautiful. Oh my goodness. This dough is beautiful. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to get this out of here. And you can see it's so nice. It feels so nice. All right. I want to divide this in two, and all I'm going to do is get it and pinch it. You can cut it. It doesn't matter. Just divide it in two as evenly as possible. Make two balls of dough. As even as you can. You don't have to get out your scale. You just have to use your eyeballs, and those are pretty even. So I'm going to put that one over there, and I'm just going to let it hang out for a while. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take this piece of dough, and you can use a floured board if you like, or you can roll it out. Because I need to measure this, and it needs to be approximately 16 inches in diameter. This pizza pan, I know, this pizza pan is a 16-inch pizza pan, so I don't know how well this is going to work, but we're going to see. So we're going to roll this out, and we'll be back as soon as that is finished. All right. After you get your dough rolled out into an approximate circle, full disclosure, I took it off this pan, put it on my board, did not flour it, rolled it out to the approximate size, put it back on the pan, and pressed it into kind of a rudimentary circle. It all works. It's okay, because this wide part isn't going to be seen. It's going to be the inside part of the roll, so it's okay. Take your pizza cutter or your pastry wheel and cut this. You see, I have it in 8 pieces now, but what you want to do is cut it into 16. Just like that. Before you cut these, spread this whole thing with a couple of tablespoons of butter, alright? Don't do like I did and cut them first, but I messed up so you don't have to, alright? Because I put my butter over here and I wasn't paying attention and I was excited about showing you how to do this. So this is what happens, people. Then you take it and you roll it up. A little bit neater than I have, okay? And you can turn it out and put it on your baking sheet. We'll try this again. Okay? And then just let it hang out. Roll up your others, roll out your other dough, cut it up, do what I did, spread it with butter, then cut it. We'll be back when we're ready to move on to the next step. Okay, before we move on, I wanted to just give you a couple little tips. When you go to roll this, I want you to take this wide end and I want you to stretch it out a little more than you think you should. And then I want you to start rolling it, and I want you to keep it really tight and roll it and pull it back on itself and roll it and pull it back on itself. And you'll see, kind of twist it and roll it and twist it and roll it until you get it exactly the way you want it. That's how they form a traditional croissant. Not like, you know, like French croissant, but yes, like a French croissant. Pull it wide, and then kind of stick it into itself and start rolling. Pull it and roll, pull and roll, pull and roll. Twist it and pull it all the way down. And when you put it on the pan, make sure this little tiny end is on the bottom. Okay, so then we move that out of the way. We have this pan. And we have its brother, which has already started to rise. Let me grab my little pastry brush. Now we're going to take that other 1/4 pound of butter in our pastry brush. These are butter croissants. Let's not forget that. And we're going to brush these with butter. We're going to let these hang out for about 20 minutes. And then when they're ready to go in the oven, we'll bring you back and we'll show you what they look like. These are ready to go in the oven. I'm going to go ahead and put this pan down here and this pan up here. 15 to 18 minutes. We hope they don't bake open, and we'll be back when they're ready to come out. All right. I set these for 7 minutes, and then I came back and I switched them. The trays, I put the top one on the bottom and vice versa, just so that they wouldn't get overdone either way, or underdone on the top, as the case may be.
Only a couple baked open.
Yeah, it's going to happen. They're not all going to be perfect. but that's what homemade is all about. Now you're going to take the rest of that melted butter, because these are butter croissants, and we're going to just brush these lightly again with more butter, because more butter, more better. So I just wanted to show you what they look like. You can pull them apart, and they're absolutely gorgeous on the inside. They're soft and fluffy. That center part, I'll open.
Oh, wow.
They're just, oh wow, they're gorgeous.
Yep.
You don't need to put any butter on them. They're so loaded with butter, they're delicious. Oh, Oh, they're really good. My recommendation to you, though, only bake one pan at a time. And I said 400 degrees earlier. That's too hot. 350 all the way, okay? Moderate oven. They're beautiful and they're perfect, but I think I would bake them at a lower temperature. So, give these buttery, flaky crescent rolls a try for your Thanksgiving or Christmas table. You're going to love them. A potato style dinner roll, and it's going to have some mashed potato and stuff in it. They're really beautiful. They're a dense but light dinner roll, and they're really delicious. They contain mashed potatoes, and I'll get to that in a minute. What I have, I'll show you right here. I made some. This is just potato flakes that I mixed with warm water, and I let them sit until they were fully hydrated. They are these. This is the brand I use. It's the only brand of potato flake I use. You've heard me talk about potato flakes in the past. This is the only brand I use. This is the Idahoan. The signature russets are delicious, and they're appropriate for just about any application. Now on the back, they give you the information on how to make them, like if you're going to serve them as a side dish with water and butter and milk. But I made them with water only, and they also give you the information on how to do that as well. So we're going to get going on our rolls. And this is kind of how I used to do things, you know, just off the cuff and brought you along. So we've got 1.5 cups water, and don't worry about writing down the recipe, because I promise you I will have this available on my website. Oh yeah, I need 1 cup of sugar. I'm going to put the sugar in before I put the yeast in. 1 cup of sugar and 5 teaspoons of yeast. We're going to just give that a little whirl. Just like that. I'm going to toss in 12 tablespoons of softened butter, and we're going to do 2 cups of these mashed potatoes. Now remember, this is just potato flakes that are made with the water, nothing else. You don't really want to pack them in the measuring cup when you measure them. That's kind of how you're supposed to do the potatoes. 4 eggs are going to go in here. I'm going to go ahead and turn this on, and we're going to slowly add up to 9 cups of flour. I'm going to put some flour in there, and then it'll get all mixed up and it'll be great. So let's see. I like to use unbleached flour. If you just use all-purpose flour for this, we'll just start with that and go from there. The beauty of bread dough is it's very forgiving. So you start off maybe a little on the short side, and then you mix and you add until it pulls away from the side of the bowl. Now, I can just tell from looking that there's not enough flour in there. I would say there's probably already 7 cups or so in there. I'm just going to gently put that lid on the top there. When it pulls away from the side of the bowl, then you know you have enough flour in there. And now we're going to knead this for 6 minutes. I did need to let you know. I'm kneading this for 6 minutes. I may knead it up to 7 or 8 minutes in this bosh. If you have a KitchenAid, you cannot knead your dough for longer than a specified number of minutes. On number 2, or you will void your warranty. So you need to make sure that you read your manual very carefully so that you don't do that. And make sure you add your salt, please. 2 teaspoons. It'll get mixed in during the kneading process. I'm not too worried about it. All right, off we go. All right, our dough is done kneading, but you can see it's a little bit, it's not sticking to my fingers yet. But to get it out of the bowl more easily, what I'm gonna do is turn it on low and I'm gonna drizzle just a little bit of oil into the bowl. That's it, like a teaspoon, okay? And let that whirl around for just a second. Now, but when you put the oil in there like that, look at that. It pretty much comes right out. We'll go ahead and just shape it nicely. My bowl has been sprayed with coconut oil spray, so it's already oiled. We'll just set that in there. There's enough oil on there. I'm just gonna cover this with some plastic and I'm gonna let this rise for about an hour. When it's time to come back and show you what it looks like, we will deflate the dough and we'll go ahead and shape this into several dozen rolls. All right, our dough has risen.
Huge.
It is huge. All right, spray your hands with a little oil before you get in here and deflate your dough. I have a scale here, and what I do like to do is I like to weigh my dough. It's probably more than 5 pounds. It is. So we'll go ahead and we'll just divide it in half and we'll see what we've got here. So that's 3 pounds or so. And that's a little, it's like so. So it's like 6.5 pounds or better, 6 3/4 pounds. But I want to make 2-ounce rolls with this, so I'm gonna weigh them out. 2.5 is good. That's not too small, and it's not too big. They don't have to be super precise, but just in the same ballpark. What you're gonna do is you're just gonna continue doing that, but when you get a few, you want to put it down. Now my board is not oiled and it is not floured because you don't want that. You never want to add any additional unprocessed flour back into your yeast dough because that's going to make your dough hard and dry and unappealing. You're going to put your dough ball down on the board and you're going to cup your hand and you're going to adhere gentle pressure and you're going to roll your hand around until it has a nice smooth surface and the bottom has a nice closed seam. And then you're just going to pop it right on your baking sheet. I have a parchment down and I'm going to go ahead and form all of these rolls up and I'll be back when my pan is full. Okay, I got my potato rolls all panned up and right now we have approximately 41 because some are 2.5, some are 2.7 ounces, and this is just how it ended up. So I just have 2 pans full. What I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna give them a little bit of a spray with some vegetable oil spray. This just happens to be coconut oil. And then I'm gonna take a piece of parchment and I'm gonna put it on the top of each pan. And I'm gonna let these rise for about a half an hour before we pop them in the oven. I'll be back when it's time to do that. Our rolls have risen and they're gonna go in the oven now for 15 to 18 minutes. We're gonna check them and then we'll pull them out and let them cool. I'll bring you back when it's time to pull them out. All right, our rolls are ready to come out of the oven. They are golden brown. Look at those. Look at those. All right, I'm gonna brush these with butter and then I'll be back and I'll show you what they look like on the inside. Well, there you have it, our beautiful potato rolls, and they're still warm. I mean, they're bordering on hot, but we're gonna take one for you guys just so you can see what they look like so we can finish up the video. I want you to see, look at that. Look at that hot, steamy roll. Oh my gosh. It's beautiful. Oh my gosh, look at how flaky it is. Probably doesn't even need butter. You wanna try it? Oh my goodness.
The whole tray.
Wow. Oh wow. These are spectacular.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, they're beautiful.
King's High and what, mate?
Well,
Yeah, slight sweetness to them.
they have a slight sweetness to them. These are delicious. You're gonna love them.